All right, welcome in everybody to another episode. Judy, tell us what we're going to be talking about today.
Hello, everybody. Today we are going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about longevity in the workplace, specifically how corporations can support their more seasoned employees to last longer in their executive positions.
All right, sounds good. We'll be right back, guys.
Excellent.
Welcome to the Cogni-Thrive podcast, where we help you understand the signs of early cognitive decline and the many ways available to keep your brain healthy. Judi Pritchard is a certified cognitive coach with more than 30 years of experience, and her company, Cogni-Thrive, provides comprehensive tools to support cognitive resilience as you age. Join Judi and her husband, Philip, as they continue to spread the message that dementia is not definite.
All right, welcome in everybody. We are back. Judy, how are you today?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm great. So let's get right into it. Talk about jobs and the market and how we can continue to do what we need to do.
Yeah, we have a perfect storm brewing right now. In the corporate world, our seasoned executives are basically leaving the workforce. And at the same time, younger populations, our younger folks, aren't joining the workforce as much. So I want to dive into a little bit of the whys behind this.
All right, let's go.
Excellent. Okay, so let's start
I know you're going to have just some interesting statistics for us.
Well,
for sure.
You know I do. So basically what we're finding is that by 2030, by the year 2030, which is what, 5 years from now?
Yeah.
There's going to be over 150 million people that are going to be working that are age 55 and older.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's basically the baby boomers and the population boom that we all experienced. We're all getting to that age group.
Right.
So the big question now becomes, how are corporations supporting the needs of this age group in their benefits plans and their wellness plans?
Right.
Sadly, AARP did a survey where they found only 4% of corporations have plans specifically designed for those older, more seasoned employees.
Wow.
4%.
That's
Can you
scary.
believe that?
Yeah, that's scary.
You know, and we see all the hip and young, quote unquote, corporations such as Amazon or Google that have, the ping pong tables and that kind of stuff, all focused at mental health.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. But if you look at the population percentage of what's making up these larger corporations, especially in the skilled areas that take longevity and seasoned learning, and what are we doing to support and foster and embrace the changes they need that are simple changes, really,
right,
but can help them stay active and productive in the workforce.
Yeah, and the days are quickly going by where you have all this influx of young talent, because we know we have younger kids, and they're not motivated by the same things we were motivated by. They want to make a good living, but money is not their motivator, and I think that's probably a good thing in some instances.
Yeah.
But it's not great for corporations and companies trying to continue to bring in talent.
Yeah, because if you have your seasoned employees that have been there longer, that you're not designing your trainings and your programs and even your environment to support just the slight changes they may need, they're going to quickly feel like they're getting outpaced and they're getting forgotten.
Yeah.
And what may be seen as they can't keep up with the job really may be your corporate inadequacy of meeting their needs.
Right.
And what's going to happen is you're going to have them, they're going to leave, and then you're going to have a gap because you don't have the surplus of the population boom of people coming in that are driven by titles and by promotions. Because you're right, we see it in our own kids. The younger populations really want that work-life balance. They're not driven to get the next title as quickly as they can.
Right.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's also, since 2019, there's a sharp decrease in population. So we're not having as many younger folks coming into the workforce.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect storm.
Yeah, and that in corporate world is called brain drain. That means all your information is going away with the older generation, and no one's coming in to fill the gap. So what can corporations do to protect those older workers and keep their brain healthy and keep them interested in continuing to do their jobs?
One of the things that we feel like is a basic is that everyone needs to understand how to support their own brain health. And by doing that, you intrinsically understand what your aging population will need. And so that as you're developing programs, as you're looking at what your business needs are, you keep in mind the subtle changes that they are having, that they're going through, and how to adapt for it. On top of that, but first and foremost, you need to realize what has changed in our world today, especially in corporate world. One, technology is changing at such a rapid pace. Mm-hmm. And one of the areas that is more complex as we get older for us to follow us, because I am 55, so I'm in that age group. Gosh, I hate saying that out loud.
Yeah, you're way older than me.
Yeah, a whole month. But one of the things that is difficult is technology. And unfortunately, that's seen as one of those senior issues of technology, rather than realizing it's just the way that we just have to learn. It may just take a little bit of repetition or to slow down and explain it to us.
Yeah.
But technology is changing quickly.
Yeah.
Corporations need to ensure that their education and training approaches involve what's needed to train people in a better way.
Yeah.
And that's also going to help your younger folks that may have more of an attention issue.
Right.
It's really not
because it's almost
just
the same. It's almost the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's changing. On top of that, because of the internet and social media, marketplaces are more complex. Markets are more global. And we have to bring everyone into that. Those kind of aspects need to also be brought into our training and education, so that education, where it's corporations find themselves kind of in a rut in trainings. It's always going to be those typical HR things that are great. Harassment areas, discrimination areas, those are absolutely needed, have changed the course of the world. But you need to adapt them now to include age discrimination and watch the subtle ways that age discrimination can infiltrate your companies and work against that. And really start valuing the experience and the knowledge base that your more seasoned employees bring to you.
Right. And I mean, think about it. If your company is providing these cognitive training conferences and seminars and really showing that they're investing in this age group, how much more productive is that going to make the older people there and more comfortable with taking on new technology and new ways of doing things?
Absolutely. I don't know if you've experienced, but I've had a couple of instances lately where it's like a slap in the face, because all of a sudden, even close friends will say something and it's kind of, it's like, wow, you're making that assumption just because I've had a birthday.
Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really not anything true. And it can be simple things like you may have just said something and I was paying attention to something else and I have to ask you a question again.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, ooh, she's at 55. Oh my gosh, is she having one of those moments? We're going to have to start watching her. No, it's just meaning that my attention was somewhere else and maybe you mumbled.
Yeah. Right. Or maybe you need to have your hearing checked like me.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, I totally understand that because, in my other career, which is video production and marketing, I work with a way younger generation in a lot of things. And so I do get the eye rolls and, I just kind of laugh it off. But sometimes I'm like, all right, look, you little kid. I know what I'm talking about. So I need you to listen to me for a second.
Exactly.
So, but,
and then you look at it, we're healthier. We're more health conscious. So people are living longer.
Right.
They're staying active longer. And even down to the pension plans of long ago, or even not so long ago, they really supported and encouraged people retiring earlier.
Right.
Nowadays, 401ks are more supportive of people that make more money and encouraging people to work longer.
Right.
So it's the whole world is kind of shifting on one side to encourage people to work longer.
Right.
Now we have to bring the whole benefit and support side and program side into embracing their age and wisdom.
Yeah, because even our government is talking about raising the retirement age.
Absolutely.
They're doing it to try to keep Medicare and Medicaid funded, but the reality is we're all going to have to work longer. Fortunately, I love what I do, so working longer to me, as long as I'm physically and mentally able to do it, doesn't bother me at all. I want to be to the point to where I don't have to, or I can do what I want to do. But, a lot of older people are just forced, they're forced out because they don't feel like they can cognitively keep up, and there's nothing in place to make them feel comfortable and learn that this is just normal aging, and there's so many things that can be done about it. It's no different than providing gym memberships for your employees and bringing in, healthy things every day in your workplace. I mean, this is something companies are going to have to start doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So learning more about your own brain. So what corporations can do is just spend more time and money on understanding your own brain and how to keep your brain healthy. We now know through all the research, you can really fight against age-related decline in your brain. You can build strength and resiliency just like you can any other body part. And that's where different types of programs need to be brought into corporations. Even looking at environmental changes within the corporation. What's the lighting like? What's the signage like? Simple things that really enhance the environment that supports cognitive stimulation without over supporting it and making it too chaotic.
So let me ask you a question talking about work environment. Do you think people working at home in a more secluded setting is good or bad for their cognitive ability?
Ooh, that's a big question.
Because I like to be around people, and I know it probably does depend on their personalities, but I know, and I've never been in corporate world. I work in it as far as my company, but I've never had to work in it. So I remember going in companies and there's just hundreds of cubicles and there's noise. I'm like, I don't know if I could work here. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that it takes a blend. It's like with what I say about moderation, even down to like nutrition and exercise plans. Moderation's the key. I think that one, employers need to understand the needs of their employees. So more regular check-ins. How are you doing? Whatever your work setup is. I think that some people thrive more in home situations where they're not in the chaos of an office place that sometimes can be created.
Yeah.
But I also know that there are so many benefits of social interaction.
Right.
Especially when you're having to learn or do educational courses. If the person is very disciplined and can limit distractions at home, then I think it can be a very healthy situation. But I think the biggest thing is corporations need to understand that flexibility is needed.
Right.
To meet the person's needs. So flexibility in schedules, flexibility in hours, flexibility in work environment, and a blend is very, very important.
Gotcha. And these are probably things really at the end of the day, we're not talking about huge financial investments. We're talking about subtle changes, but like you talked about, more than that is just them being educated.
Absolutely.
And understanding what to look for and just what they should be looking for.
Absolutely. And it's funny. It's something I've always learned and tried to keep in mind at the forefront of my mind whenever I've been in my corporate positions is whenever you come up across a situation that seems like it's an HR situation, step back first and learn and think and reflect on what could I have done differently to make this a better interaction. So I think corporations need to do that too. If they feel like, oh, there's a problem here because there's an absentee issue going on and it's because they're getting older,
right,
or they're having more medical issues. Well, they are, but at the same time, since they're seasoned, they probably have built up a wealth of a volume of vacation time.
Right.
And is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
No, you should support and embrace that. And okay, so as we age, we know it takes a little bit longer to recover from an injury. So just understand that. It's the understanding of that and embracing it and not making someone feel like it's a bad thing that they took care of themselves. Because if they come back too soon, it's going to lead to more problems down the road.
Right.
But it also comes down to looking at the way you've set up your business structure. And if you have backup plans where there's a support system there. So if someone has vacation time or if someone has an illness that they need to take care of, then there's a backup plan so they don't feel like the company's failing because one person decided to take care of themselves.
Right. Or that person feels like I'm going to come back to chaos because I took 3 days away.
Yeah. Or I can't ever use my vacation.
Yeah.
Which in turn, really, when you think about the younger population wanting a work-life balance, build this in for all the right reasons.
And the younger generation, from my experience so far, has been, they are more, we have focused so much on mental health and taking care of yourself that I see it actually changing that attitude in the younger generation. They don't mind telling you, I'm taking a day for myself, and you can like it or not. It's mine. I'm going to take it. So I think over the coming decades, you'll see people, it's going to become more and more prevalent. So companies are going to have these places in place to make sure that, hey, they may not be here, but that's their prerogative. They can do that. So from Cogni-Thrive's standpoint,
Yes.
do you offer programs? I mean, how would a company even start this process to
Absolutely.
do this?
So the thing is, you need to look at and know the environment of your corporation, know your team, know your specific needs of your teams. It's going to be individualized.
Right.
And from what you want to do is reach out to a cognitive coach or a cognitive consulting group, which we are.
Right.
And they'll come in and they'll work directly with you. We come in, we work directly with you to see what you have in place and to actually interview your team members of all ages, of all different demographics to find out what's working.
Right.
What's working well, everything from communication approaches to what emails are like, to how meetings are structured, how many conference calls are happening, even down to what type of schedule reminder system do they have in place. Just simple things like that. And then we'll make recommendations to enhance and support not just your seasoned employees, but also your younger folks.
Love it. So this is good across the board because our whole mission here at Cogni-Thrive is to get the younger generation educated about this so that they start taking action early.
Absolutely.
To hopefully not have the same issues we as 55-year-olds are dealing with now, and basically trying to remove that stigma.
Remove the stigma and have a better awareness of how to help ourselves, no matter what age you are.
Exactly.
How to help yourself, and then how to create an environment that is enabling of people to thrive, no matter what shape they're in. And that doesn't mean that you do everything for them. That's quite the opposite, in fact.
Right.
We want to create the world where they're able to still function at the maximum of their capacity and cognition, especially. And it's simple approaches, but that's what a cognitive consultant group like we come in and do.
Right.
So we'll work directly with you not only on changing your environment, working with you on your structure needs, but also how then do you help your individual team members support themselves in cognition and cognitive growth?
Right. So that will kind of bring us to, we're going to do another podcast maybe next about how individuals and how if you are one of these people and you're having these issues, what can you do to either try to put these plans in place with your company or at least have discussions or at least figure out if you're really having issues or not.
Yeah, so corporate executives, listen in on the next one too, because you're aging as well.
That's right.
So let's make sure that we keep you at the top of your game. And it's not a challenge.
That's right.
It's a supportive approach. And because you want to stay just as sharp as you are. And there's no reason you can't.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to visit our website, cogni-thrive.com. And remember, Judi does come into companies. She's a speaker. Whatever you need, she can help get this plan in place and get you guys on the right path. So we will check you on the next episode. Thanks, Judi.
Thank you. See you later.
Thank you for listening. And remember, we are not physicians, and you should always consult your doctor about what treatment is best for you. Please visit www.cogni-thrive.com to learn more about our services or to book Judi to speak at your next event.